spending my week watching Game of Thrones for the first time, so I'm up to the second episode of the second season. After last week's, furor over that one episode, which I guess, have you been watching it, Gary?
I've watched it. I would say that I would go with Game of Thrones as a reason why. If you have a book, you should really think about, instead of going the movie route, you should go. You should make it into a miniseries. I think what Game of Thrones has done. I'll go on the record and say I think the last week's episode is the best hour of filmed entertainment I've seen in recent memory. And that I'm not just this season, but every season. But the second to last episode, or I guess the penultimate episode of each season, is one to remember. And they really took that. How shall I say? They really took that to heart this season. I think Game of Thrones puts to shame all of Peter Jackson's.
Oh, it does. Completely.
It does for a lot of reasons. I think, when I was thinking about this earlier, when I worked in bookstores, when I started working in bookstores for my bookstore phase of my life in 1994 at Crown Books, from that time on until it came out, every week, the question I got was, when is the next Thomas Harris book coming out, which would be Hannibal? And this was in 1994, starting then, and I don't think it comes out till 2000, 99 or 2000 is when Hannibal comes out. As soon as George R.R. Martin started writing books, that is the constant question.
That question got replaced.
Yeah, it was like, when is the next Martin book coming out? And
well, he spends a long time in between books, right?
Yeah, yes, he does. But what I find interesting about this is that the producers of the show wanted to make sure that they got to this season, this book, and this scene, this episode, and I think that's awesome. I think that's great. What worries me is I hope they're going to keep this intensity up the whole time. I hate to think that it was only to get to here, and then I would hate to think that next season, which is going to be, I think, the second half of this book, because this book is so long, they needed 2 seasons to do it. I would hate to think then we're going to see a drop-off. We can't afford to see a drop-off here, because, we don't even know we have no idea how this thing ends yet, because there's still 2 books to go that haven't even come out.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, though.
It is amazing. I'm enjoying it thoroughly. At first, the crunch of thousands of characters. It seems like seemingly 1,000 characters.
Oh, it seems that way.
Coming at you all at once is tough to. It was tough to get through. So, but I was pretty thoroughly invested by the 6th episode, and now I'm just chomping at the bit to get through them.
Right.
How many seasons have there been?
There've been 3. They're
well,
at the end of this one there'll be 3, but
it was the 8th episode of the 3rd season or something like that.
I guess I'm not sure how many episodes, but Dean, you bring up a great point, though. A really good observation. There are so many characters, so many storylines. I do think at the end, when this is all said and done, there needs to be some sort of special editing award for this show. There just needs to be a special achievement because this is a lot of different storylines. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what's going. I don't remember every character. I don't even know their names. I just know
sometimes you get into that. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's like, okay, who is this now? But the dialogue is so great. It's so sharp. Peter Dinklage is just fantastic in it.
Yeah.
Everybody's good in it, but he's particularly good in it, of course. And he's won a couple of awards for his performance in that show. And it's just really sumptuous to look at in every frame. And another thing that makes it great is that really nobody is safe on the show. In other words, you never know you never know when somebody's going. You know, life was cheap. You know, life is cheap in this world.
Yeah,
you know.
But you bring up a good point. But you also bring up, you know, it is with one. You know, unfortunately, there are two shows. You know, because we live in an era like where I would say TV is better than movies.
I mean, that's why I said, well, I'm going to start watching Game of Thrones because movies are just blah. I mean,
movies are. I mean, for the most part,
there was no way I was going out to the movies this weekend. You know, I mean, I am going to go next weekend, but when this is the end and a couple of other movies, Men of Steel come out.
Right. Those are the the writing and even the editing and the structure. There's something you see that within the in TV. There's more flexibility, even though in an hour episode, or I guess in an hour episode or a 55-minute episode, because we're not talking about network television or even basic cable. We're talking about premium cable. That you do have to play by certain rules and everything. But there does seem in that hour of entertainment, there is so much more going on than in the average, not even the average, even the supposedly great independent films. There's just so much more going on. But this brings me, I do regret investing so much in True Blood and The Walking Dead because I have missed out. I know I've missed out, and I've been meaning to catch up on it. And there's one show I regret not watching. There's one show, and it's Breaking Bad. And I have it on Netflix, and I have it, and it's the one show that I think, I know for a fact, that is, you know, the most accurate depiction of America since The Wire and The Sopranos. I would say catch up on it.
From my point of view, that, True Blood, I used to follow that because it used to be kind of cheeky fun, and it's so repetitive, and I just don't care anymore. But I did watch Breaking Bad seasons back to back. I got all the DVDs and watched them all on one marathon weekend. I didn't come up for air, and I've got to say, Walter White is one of the great characters in the history of television. I mean,
I agree with you. I have never seen it, but I know you're right.
I can't think of a better, more well-rounded and interesting character. And what they try to do with his arc, or what they've done with his arc, to essentially make him a villain by show's end, like a monster in a way, and still have you follow and want to follow that character, it's kind of miraculous.
That is.
Well, and Jesse's a great character too. So you know, I mean, the combo of those two characters together, I think, is what really makes it work. You know, because I'm just as invested in Jesse's outcome as I am Walter White's. You know, but yeah, I mean, you know, Breaking Bad, you know, got to watch it. It's incredible.
No, I know, and I haven't.
I mean, you know, the most amazing thing about television shows, you know, Sopranos is the first show that really, you know, I mean, Twin Peaks to some extent, but The Sopranos was really the show that did this for me. Was just how great it is to see a story that goes on. And, you know, I mean, you get to have scenes with, you know, minor characters together, you know, and you just get such a sense of detail in the story, you know, watching a television show these days, you know.
For me, that actually even goes back before even the X-Files, even Twin Peaks. To me, the first show, well, I mean, there's The Prisoner, obviously, but that's after, you know, that's well before my time, but I watched that in reruns. But for me, the show that really, to me, shows you what you can do with TV is Wise Guy. Wise Guy was the first show, at least that I know that I watch really on a regular every week basis, which was for one season, it was a different, you know, it was an episode that you needed to watch you needed to watch in order, you couldn't miss it, or because you wouldn't know what was going on. It wasn't like every you had it wasn't like Hunter or even Miami Vice for that.
There wasn't a lot of standalone episodes.
Yeah, you needed to watch it, and I was talking about this with my mom yesterday. Wise Guy was really the first show that I thought, at least on network television, that said, oh, you can work outside of the boundaries. You can do something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a show I'd like to check out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The WGA last week came out with their list of the best written shows in history of television, and they chose Sopranos as their number one.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I would completely and utterly agree with.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
but there were, for my money, The Sopranos was such an inconsistent show.
Mm-hmm.
When it was good, there was nothing better. But there was like a whole season that was completely unremarkable to me.
You're right.
I can't remember what season it was, but it went through some real like rough patches, and then it would shock you with an episode.
Yeah.
Like
it was
season. Like all of a sudden, I remember all of a sudden the show was kind of a bore one season, and all of a sudden it ended with like a Bergman Scenes from a Marriage thing. Where Tony and his wife get in a fight about her admitting that she's fantasizing about Furio, I remember.
Right.
And I was like, oh, my God, what a sledgehammer episode. And it restored your faith in the show all of a
Yeah, but I mean, it was that season before, I think, when Steve Buscemi came on the show and Robert Loggia. It was that season, I think, before that, because when Steve Buscemi and Robert Loggia showed up in that season, that was when I thought when the show got the much-needed jump start it needed. That storyline was...
that season.
That season was stellar. It's a season before that, and I think there had been a rather long hiatus, actually, because I mean, there were... Someone said it best. There was never, with the exception, I think, of the first season, there was never a full season of the show that was perfect. There were, like, hit-and-miss episodes.
Yeah, none as great as that fifth episode in the first season.
Oh God!
When he takes her around to the colleges.
Oh, that's
awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God!
I mean, Pine Barrens, where Polly and
Polly and Christopher
Steve
Buscemi, I think, directed that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are probably the two best episodes, and strangely enough, they're also standalone episodes.
Right. Yeah.
Really, that's an interesting thing too. But I find something to love in every episode. The only part of the series that I thought was strange, but I enjoyed it. But when I rewatch it again, I go, yeah, I don't really like these episodes so much. Is when Tony gets shot and is in recovery and dreaming about another life, another life that he might have had. That those shows they're interesting as an experiment, but I find them to be tiresome.
He played with dreams a lot in that show. He constantly go back to the dreams. And the whole thing when Joe Pantoliano's character, when Tony killed him and they had to cut him up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great episode. Here's the WGA's list of. I'll read the top 10. Sopranos number 1, Seinfeld number 2, The Twilight Zone number 3, All in the Family number 4, number 5 is MASH, number 6 is The Mary Tyler Moore Show, 7 is Mad Men, 8 is Cheers, 9 is The Wire, and 10 is The West Wing.
That's a pretty good list. I was never a huge fan of The West Wing. It gets a little samey for me.
I think the first season of that show is rock solid. I'm not as big a fan. I'm curious to see in maybe 10 years if the Newsroom is able to get on that list, because I think I think we'll know by the end of the second season, because I think that's an awesome show. I really think that there's a lot that he can do in that show that is promising. But I do like The West Wing, don't get me wrong, but I just think Sorkin gets better and better, if that's possible.
By the way, how amazing is on that list of the top 10, at least 3 of them were 70s Saturday night CBS shows. You know, you had MASH, Mary Tyler Moore Show, and All in the Family. That's a killer lineup.
Can I ask a dumb question? And this is dumb. I was just curious on that list because I haven't seen the detailed list. Is McLeod, McMillan, or wife, or Columbo on that list? Just out of curiosity. I don't know why I've been going back to this.
I don't think none of them are.
God,
none of those.
I would think McMillan and wife, though. Come on, Rock Hudson and Susan St. James. If that's not a farce, I don't know what is. But
well, the one show
you're asking about Columbo.
Columbo, yeah.
Number 57.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, because I was just curious, because those shows, and well, they were really TV movies, but like Columbo, McLeod, and McMillan and wife were a huge deal in the 70s. I was just curious.
Yeah.
What about the Rockford Files? Is that on there?
Yeah, that's on there.
Okay, great. All right.
Another David Chase. The one show that I think should have been on, and they do have variety shows on this list. I mean, Colbert is on there, and I think the Daily Show is on there at least. The one show that I think they left out of the list was SCTV, Second City Television.
Oh, that should definitely be on there. I mean,
yeah,
that's as groundbreaking as SNL. I mean, they're both kind of SCTV is very important. And then the problem was it was way ahead of its time, and it might have been too smart. Way too smart. That thing about when they spoof The Godfather with the pay TV wars is great.
Yeah.